Hello, welcome back to Heather's Space. I have got a quick and easy DIY project for you this week. Today I'm going to show you how to turn a plain old piece of 18mm ply into a kids art table on wheels. Now my twins, who are 6, are massively into drawing, colouring, creating little books, writing cards at the moment. And although they've each got a little desk in their bedrooms, they like to do it together, and there isn't space at those desks for them to do that. So I wanted to create an art surface for them that could be stored away under their beds and pulled out when they needed it. We had some sheets of 18mm plywood left over from the DIYs that we've done on their bedrooms before. I'll pop a list of the other materials you need in the comments below, but the main elements are a piece of plywood cut to the size that you want it. Make sure you sand all the edges so there's no rough splintery bits for little fingers, and 4 castors, you know, the wheels that you can screw on to a piece of board. First up, I laid the elements that I knew I was going to include on the final artboard out on the board, just to get the arrangement right and to make sure that those castors would still fit in the corners of the board. So once I'd done that, then I drew around the paper cups. The paper cups are going to be used for pen pots. So I drew around the tops of the paper cups, found the centre point and used a hole saw to drill through and create those holes. The hole needs to be just a little bit smaller than the cup itself, so that when you pop the cup in, it will sit into the hole. Next up, I decided to add some elastic bands that you could use to store scissors or rulers or bits of chalk or whatever you fancy. Now, I couldn't find any elastic in the house, so the only thing I could find was some hair bubbles, and actually they worked a treat. Had 2 hair bubbles, I cut them so that I had 2 lengths of elastic. Then I just used the drill with, I think it was a 4.5mm drill bit. I drilled 4 holes, like the corners of a rectangle, poked the ends of the bubbles through the holes, the adjacent holes, and then flipped the board over and used a staple gun underneath the board to hold those bits of elastic in place. You need to pull it nice and taut so that you're going to be able to put things in and they'll stay in place. I'd found an old, I think they're called D handles. They're like cupboard handles that you might use on a kitchen cupboard, or well, any cupboard really. We'd found one of those in the shed and I thought it would be perfect to store away the kids' washi tape. They love using washi tape when they're creating. So I just fixed one end of the handle onto the board, so that would act as a pivot, so that when you moved out, the other end would come off the board. You could slide on the washi tapes and then slide it back into place. So that was all the elements I needed, and then all I had to do was flip the board over and screw the castors onto the 4 corners of the board. 2 of the castors have brakes fitted to them. It's up to you where you fit those. My kids use the board on carpet, so it doesn't really go anywhere, but if you had floorboards or hard flooring, you probably would want to put the brakes on. Now, I wanted there to be a constant supply of paper, so I had a roll of white drawing paper. I had 2 bungee cords. I put one of the bungee cords through the centre of that roll of paper. We actually had to straighten out the hook on the end so that it would fit through. Then I popped the roll onto the surface, put the bungees underneath the board and just hooked them together. So that was at one end of the board, and then you could open out the paper, and I put a bungee cord just exactly the same. I put it over the top of the board and then hooked it together underneath, and that holds the paper in place when you pull it out for drawing. I thought I'd finished, and then as an afterthought I decided that I would use some blackboard paint that I had left over from another project, just to paint on a little speech bubble onto the surface of the board. It goes underneath the paper most of the time, but it's just a place that the kids can chalk little messages to each other, and it adds just a bit of a nice decorative touch in the room. The art table's got big thumbs up from the kids. We did one for each of their bedrooms. They basically can wheel them under their beds when they're not in use and then wheel them out. They love the little pockets, so they've got pens and colouring in those paper cups. Esme keeps some scissors and some chalk in her elastic. And she was totally delighted when she discovered that pivoting handle with all the washi tape. So it's really easy. It took us about half an hour to make, and I think it's just great to provide the kids with a space to be creative, especially as we've got the school holidays coming up, so I'm sure that they will need to be kept busy for quite a lot of the time. While I'm on the subject of holidays, I probably won't be back here for a video next week because I can't work out how I'm going to fit in filming. And if you'd prefer a full written tutorial, I've written this all up on my blog, www.growingspaces.net. Really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do check out my other videos on my channel, Heather Space. Give me the thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you back here soon. Bye!